Hey fellow designers, it's Karen back with another sewing tutorial. Today we're going to be learning how to make this swimsuit. If you're interested in learning how to make one for yourself, stay tuned. But before you do, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this video with a friend that may be interested in my content. Join my Facebook sewing group, KGC Sewing Patterns. Follow me on Instagram at KGC Sewing Patterns. And download your beginner-friendly sewing pattern for this bathing suit at etsy.com/shop/Karen Gwen Customs. Let's get started. You can download this pattern on my Etsy store, etsy.com/shop/Karen Gwen Customs. I'm going to start with cutting everything out. Here is the fabric that I've selected. It's like a copper colored 4-way stretch spandex that I got from Fabrictopia. So you're going to take your fabric and you want to fold it over horizontally and vertically. Just fold it into fours basically. And make sure it is flat and even as possible. This isn't my best fold, but let's see. Let me do this over. Okay, that's better. So that's folded once. And then when I lay it down like that, then I have 2 folds. So anything I cut out on this fold, I'm gonna end up getting 2 of them. And then I'm gonna fold it again so that I end up with 4 of everything. Okay? And the reason being is because when you cut out this bathing suit's bottom, you're gonna need 4 because you have 2 for the front and 2 for the back, just so it's double lined. I'm just gonna, this is the pattern, but I'm going to be, I want my, the cut of the bikini line to be a little bit higher. So I just drew a line right here and I'm gonna be cutting that off. But for you guys, you can just cut it as is. I just wanted to alter mine a little bit. The process of sewing it together and everything will be the same. And I'm gonna be making a size medium, so I'm just going to cut along that line. And the good thing about this pattern is that the lines are fairly straight, so if you wanted to just fold it back instead of cutting your pattern, you can. So anything that's being cut along this edge or this edge, you're gonna get 4 of them. So I'm just gonna lay my pattern down like this. And pin it down right along the fold. So I'm like a C cup, so what I'm gonna do, since these are just squares, is I'm gonna fold the pattern back along the line that I would be cutting on, and that way I get to preserve my pattern piece and reuse it again in case I need to make this for another size person. This doesn't have to be cut along any fold or anything. You just want 4 pieces, period. Okay, so those are the top pieces, and then I'm gonna cut these out first, and then I'm gonna manipulate my fabric so I can lay the other 2 pieces down. up. This is 8 layers, so I actually do not need to cut this like this either. No wonder. Okay, so now I've unfolded this, so it's as if the fabric is folded over twice, and that's gonna give 4 layers. So I'm gonna cut this out here. That's like, no wonder. If I were to like read my own instructions, I would save a little bit of time because I definitely put it in the instructions. Okay, so we're gonna cut this.
That's lacking in patience. I've been dealing with my dad, speaking of lack of patience. Just me and my old man getting back to basics. We've been talking about the future and time that we wasted. When he put the bottle down, girl, that nigga's amazing. Well, fuck it, we had a couple Coronas. We might have wrote a white paper, just something to hold us. We even talked about you in our couple of moments. He said we should hatch it out like a couple of grown-ups. You a flower child, beautiful child, I'm in your zone. Looking like you came from the 70s on your own. My mother is 66, and her favorite line to hit me with is who the fuck wants to be 70 and alone? Y'all don't even know what you want from love anymore. I search for something I'm missing and disappear when I'm bored. But girl, what qualities was I looking for before? Who you settling for? Who better for you than the boy, huh?
So here are all the pattern pieces. As you can see, there are 3 of the really long strips. Those are the straps that are going to hold up the bikini top. One's going to go around the back. Well, 2 are going to go around the back of your neck, and then 1 is going to go around under your bust. And then we also have our waistband piece, which is going to be sewn to the bikini. And then you have 4 bikini pieces because there are going to be 2 in the front, 2 in the back, so it'll be lined. And then we also have 4 pieces for the bikini top. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is take one of your bikini pattern pieces and lay it down right side up. So this is the shiny side facing up. And then you're going to take another piece and lay it right side down so that you have right sides together. It should line up pretty well given that you cut them out at the same time. What is this, paint? So the next thing you're gonna do is take your pins and pin it along this edge and this edge. Okay, so now that I have both of these pinned, I'm going to serge along each of the pinned edges with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. If you don't have a serger, no biggie. You can use your sewing machine, but I'm just gonna use my serger because I just want it to be a little bit faster and cleaner. So this is the first piece that I've sewn together. I don't remember what I put in the instructions, but looking back, I think I would have sewn these edges together like this first, and then sewn these together, and that way the seam would have been concealed, but we'll figure it out as we go. Okay, so now that we have both of these sewn together, I'm gonna take one of them and I'm gonna turn it right side out. And this one I'm gonna leave turned the way it is. I'm just going to stick my fingers up through this bottom piece here. And then I'm going to pull this piece through so that these are lined up. Then I'm gonna pin these together all the way around the edge of this hole. And then I'm going to sew this together around this edge with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, this part is tricky, but I'm going to do my best. I'm gonna go slow because I have to make sure that I'm only sewing through the 2 layers I'm trying to sew through. cumbersome, but we got it done. So I got these sewn together along the edge. Now I'm just gonna take my scissors and trim. I had to run to Target and buy some random scissors, so these are not my favorite, but they're working. So now we're gonna turn this back out like this, and that's what she got. I don't like that I can see these stitches, so I might go over that one more time just to make sure it's secure, because we don't need any wardrobe malfunctions at the pool. I'm gonna go back over this one more time. Okay, so now that that's done, I wish I used a different thread color. All right, so now that that's done, you're going to take your bikini piece like this, make sure the edges are lined up. And then you're going to pin along these edges. Trying to line it up as perfectly as possible. Due to my own human error, it's not perfect along the edges, but we will fix that as we go through these finishing touches. I'm hoping my serger will go through this because it's really been tripping lately and kind of eating my fabric sometimes. And it's new, so I don't know why it's doing that, but we'll see. Fingers crossed. That came out perfect. I'm grateful. Yeah, I'm so proud of my serger. She's behaving today. Okay, so as you can see, we now kind of have almost a full bikini. We got the sides sewn together, and now it's time to add the waistband. So excited. Okay, so here is my waistband piece. I'm just going to take it, put it right sides together, and I'm gonna serge this edge together with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So there's our waistband. Now you're gonna take it like this. And you're gonna pin it to the bathing suit top edge like that. And try to line it up as well as possible. If you want to put elastic in here, you can, but this is pretty tight fitting, so it's not 100% required. Okay, so that's what we got for how it should look before you sew the waistband on.
I decided to go to Walmart and get elastic just so you guys could see exactly how it's done in the instructions.
Okay, so I'm back from Walmart with my elastic. So what you're gonna do is just cut a length of elastic that is the same length as your waistband. You know, plus seam allowance. You don't want it to be too long. And you're then going to overlap it by 1 inch. And sew it together with a zigzag stitch. Now here on my machine, I am widening or increasing the width for my zigzag stitch as high as it'll go. So I went up to a 7. And that's just going to make my zigzag stitch cover more width on the elastic. So I'm gonna sew backwards. See how wide it's going? And you can do this a couple times, you know, just for stability and durability. And then you want to do a test pull. So I'm just gonna go over it one more time because I just want it to be very stable or secure. Secure is a better word. So that should be good. And I'm just gonna snip all of the excess threads off. Okay, so now we're gonna go back here and just insert this. In between the waistband piece. So I'm just going to stick this in here. And you want to make sure that as you're serging this, that you're only serging or sewing, whichever you're doing, through the fabric and not through the elastic. The elastic, you just want to shove it down there because you want your elastic to be able to move freely, not creating any gathering or bunching in your swimwear. Okay, just gonna look at this and make sure everything is laying flat and neat. See this little folding right here? Like, you don't want that, so it's gonna create ugliness in your garment. So just make sure everything is like nice and neat. Okay, so I think we're ready. I'm gonna go ahead and serge, and I'm going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance so just I can cut off all this extra unnecessary stuff here, and then we'll be done, and we'll just have to clean up this little piece right here. I'm just gonna sew the tail of the serger thread down onto the seam allowance so that we can't see it. Or actually, maybe I think I'm actually going to sew the seam allowance down with a little straight stitch so that it's hidden behind here. And as you can see, this is identical, so there's really no like front or back. It's the same on both sides. Hopefully I got enough booty coverage, but we'll see. I'm just going to do a very short straight stitch over this so that the seam doesn't show. always want to make sure it's, whatever you do, it's neat. I should have bought a darker thread. Let's see. So that's what we got. There is our bottoms, and now we're gonna move on and work on the top. So now you should have 3 strips of fabric. 2 of them are going to be a part of the halter tie that goes around your neck, and then the third one is going to go around your back for the bikini top. So what you're going to do is take one of your strips and fold it over, right sides together, and you're just going to pin it all along the long edge. Now you're going to use the loop turner tool to turn your straps right side out. I left this part without music for ASMR purposes, but the little note that I put in about leaving less seam allowance. So this first strap that I did was like really, really thin because I cut off half an inch. You really don't have to cut off that much of the fabric because it's going to make your strap really, really thin. The more thin your strap is, the more difficult it's going to be to turn it right side out, which is why you can see me struggling a little bit. The other 2 that I did were a little bit easier. You can see on this one, I did about a 1/4 inch seam allowance instead of a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And that made my strap a little bit thicker. And it also made it easier for me to turn it right side out. So try to do yours more like this instead of like the other one. The reason that I kept the bikini pattern piece pinned to the fabric was so that I could remember
what direction they were supposed to be sewn in. It's not a square, it's more of a rectangle, so one side is longer than the other side. And so I also put pins on the side so I could remember. Now you're going to take your bikini pieces, take 2 of them, lay them right sides together and pin them together along the top and the bottom only. You'll see a pin over there on the right side, but that's not pinning the fabric together. That's just for me to remember which part is vertical and which is horizontal. Do this for the other 2 bikini top pieces as well so that you end up with 2 pairs. Next, you're going to sew or serge the edges together along those pinned edges, like so. Now you can go ahead and begin by clipping the serged ends off or whatever excess threads you have. And next, you're going to take your fabric and fold the edge of your bikini piece back over so that you have a little part of the shiny side of the fabric facing you. This is going to create a hem so that there are no raw edges when we flip the piece back right side out. Repeat this step on both raw edges on both bikini top pieces. Next, you're going to use a straight stitch to top stitch those raw edges in place. Next, turn your bikini pieces right side out, and then you're going to flatten them. Make sure that you have the seam at the very bottom on the fold, and you're going to take some pins and pin them into place, because the next thing you're going to do is run a couple of stitches and create a channel to pass your bikini straps through. Repeat this step on both tops and bottoms for both pieces. So first you're going to run a straight stitch all the way across that pinned edge with a 1-inch seam allowance. Do the same thing on the other side and repeat these steps for the second piece as well. Now you're going to run a second top stitch about a 1/2 inch over to the left of the first top stitch. This is creating a channel so that you can pass your bikini ties through it. Do this on both pieces on both sides. Now you're going to take your bikini tie, take the little bitty end of it and fold it over twice, put a pin to hold it into place, and then you're going to secure it by top stitching with a straight stitch. This is just so that your bikini ties don't have any ugly raw edges. Do this on both ends of all 3 ties. Now you're going to take your loop turner with your bikini pieces laid out in front of you, insert it into the channeling at the bottom of the bikini piece on the left, and then use the end of it, the little hook part, to pull in your bikini tie. This is can be a little tricky just because of how how bulky the end of the bikini tie is, but just take your time. You'll get it eventually. So you're going to pull that through, and then you're going to insert your loop turner into the other bikini piece and pull the little bikini tie through to the other side of that as well. So that way you have one bikini tie that's running through the bottom of both bikini pieces. This is going to be the underbust tie that's going to tie around your back. Then you're just going to pull it through and adjust as needed to make sure that it is centered between the two bikini top pieces. Now you're going to turn your bikini top around so that the part that doesn't have any ties is facing you or closest to you. And you're going to take your second bikini tie and pull it through that channeling. But this time, you're not going to pull it through to the other bikini piece. It's only going to go through one piece because this is going to serve as kind of like a halter. So you're going to have one loop or one bikini tie that's going to join and become one tie. And then the other side of your bikini top is going to have its own bikini tie that's going to meet in the back of your neck. So you're basically going to have 4 strings that are going to come together behind your neck to close or tie together your bikini top. Make sure all your ties are centered, and there you have it, your completed bikini top. Now I'm going to go to the pool so I can take some pictures and film my intro. Shout out to my BFF Helen for taking my photos. No, she is not a photographer. I just be volunteering her to do stuff, and she always comes through.
This actually does feel really easy.
Girl, good night. Mind you, there's a whole nother step so she can say.
Hey fellas. Don't ever do this in front of people. Just stop. Hey fellow designers, it's Karen. What is in my throat? Start over. Hey fellow designers, it's Karen. Today we're going to be learning how to make this. I'm gonna post it just like this too. We're gonna be learning how to make this bathing suit. If you